Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. My purpose here today is a continuation of the process where I have been trying to share with you liberating information that would help free you from the bondage that men have caused you to encage yourselves in and loose you so that you could be free as the power that made you to be and to live, which basically means having fun. And having fun while you are doing what you were designed to do. That's not happening in the world today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a sad, sad statement that it is not happening, and yet we understand that these things don't happen when we are ignorant of the facts. That is why so many people who abuse other people don't want you to know the truth, because in knowing the truth, you'll either stop it, which means they won't be able to repeat it. And so that can become a major concern for those who are trying to abuse you. I'd like to send this message out to all of my friends and all of my brothers and sisters all over the world, especially the Porters in Illinois, Chicago, and the Jacksons and the Strongs. Got a lot of people in Chicago. And the Marcuses, you know what it's all about, the Danielles. Those in Mississippi, the Porters and Williams and the Davises, those in New York, Marcuses, those in California, Jacksons, those in Tennessee, G. Hey, I mean, all of you, I love you, and I can't think of all your names right now. Really, I don't have the time to share with you, but I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you every day. And I want you to know I'm not just thinking about you, I'm thinking about your neighbors. I'm thinking about people all across the nation. I'm thinking about people all across the world. You know, we have been misled. We are being had as people. You see, it started a long time ago when we were made free. And then someone decided that they wanted to be the power, that they could manage power better than the creator. They could do their own thing. The creator had blown it. And so they were going to take over. And in taking over, that means they're going to take over everything. All of the resources that have been made for human beings, man was going to come up with some kind of way he could take it and own it and control and manipulate you. Now, some people might say, oh, that can't happen. There's no way that can happen. And I'll rest my case by telling you what happened under the last president, Donald Trump. You've seen everything happen. And that alone, for those of you who didn't get caught into that stuff, that alone should tell you how the world has been operating. Now, just think about that. It happened. And now they're trying to write it up as if it didn't happen. Now, whether they're successful or not, depends. But somewhere down that road, you can bet it has been successful. But I want you as thinking Americans, I want you as thinking people of the world, go back all the way, especially those times when they try to hide it, when you were forced to repeat history because you didn't know any better. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Now, that alone should tell you that we're living in some strange times, some very strange times, and something should happen to make it right. When we consider that even in that process from times past, we wanted to make these things big and broad because the earth is so big. Till you got people in different parts of the earth doing certain things, all relative. And then you got a central power somewhere operating the whole dead blasted earth. Now I know some of you don't believe that stuff is happening. But there's organization basically in anything that's sustained. That's why when I run for president, people tell me, say, Brother Marshall, you got a committee? I say, no, I'm just going to use the truth and see if anybody can buy it. Ooh, I wish you had a committee, some organization, because the truth, people are not interested in truth. And I mean, I've actually heard that, ladies and gentlemen. But you know, in the process of claiming you, they came up with things what they called the law of the land. The law of the land. Let's say we want people treated certain kinds of ways. You call it civil law. And all across the nation, you would embrace. But however, depending upon where you're at, what kind of government system you have under, your law of the land, your civil law might not be the same as the civil law of someone else. And yet at the same time got enough law to call it, this is how we operate. So this is the civility of who we are. Civil law is, and so we all understand that. And yet we can see a connection with the people uh, everywhere on earth. See, we try to say we fight in war against these groups over here. We against Russia, we can't get it together. Or we against China, we can't get it together. And yet we all interconnected, working together continuously. This gives evidence of that superior human system that operates the whole dead blasted world. Because in this operation, we have something that many people know, and a lot of us don't. It's a unified commercial code, which basically controls, dictates how commercialism is transformed, transpired, how it operates all over the land. People adhering to the basic code. Nobody's getting screwed. Why? Because it's a partnership. You might have dictators over here. You might have what you got over here. Who are we? Well, I want to say democracy, but you're not really sure what you got in the United States. But you got these various forms of government. But certain things operate in a form that there's no ambiguity. Everybody understands what's going on. You got a unified code, commercial code. That shows a connection, ladies and gentlemen, of the entire world. I forget about how many times we go to war. Forget about it. It's connected. So we got that going on. And not only that, ladies and gentlemen, we have, I've kind of give you a little picture of that, but I want to give you a little picture of something else too. And I'm not trying to act like I'm smart, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not smart. I'm smart enough to do some research. I'm smart enough to study. I'm smart enough to see what other people think. And if it lines up with some sense, then I share it with you. And just like we were just talking about how the system operates, well, this is a system that's operating people, the conduct of people. Now, what about the people themselves? Well, we have the law of the land, the civil law. But at the same time, we got maritime laws. That means basically the law of the sea, water. So they got control of everything. They got control of the land, the ultimate power. I'm not talking about God now, and I'm not talking about some spiritual power outside of this earth. I'm talking about human beings controlling the operations of the earth. So now we got control of the land. We got control of the waters. Now, all of that is about the people. So now, how about this water? You know, when I think the information that I got is like a ship. Every port, you know, you go into these countries, it's like pulling up, and you got a dock. Well, when you come in there on a ship, they call that berthing. You know, berth the ship, guys who deal with ships know what that means. Well, they call it berthing ships. And when you get there, you got to have a manifest indicating basically everything that is coming into this country, the value of it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and all the information that's needed. Birth, a manifest. And they parallel that with you as human beings. Anytime you come through that womb, you're born into, you birth into, called your birth. And what do they give? They give you a birth certificate with certain numbers on it, which have references for certain purposes. And according to my information, you can take those numbers and go find out that you are all registered on the stock market. You are property. You are value to the powers that be. Now, your whole life has been shaped and marked by exploitation. And in making this happen, we exercise lies, cheating and stealing and killing. And it got so bad in America this time, till I was mentioning many times that people are suffering here in America, especially the poor. They got now where you have to go, if you want to shop, do it at the general store or do it at the dollar store. And if you're looking for some clothes, some stuff like that, you might have to go to the Goodwill. Things are just that tough for some people in this country. But that's the way it is. You see, ladies and gentlemen, when you start thinking about these sufferings, that's really nothing when you start comparing it to some of the suffering that people go through. For instance, here in America, the storm that just came through, the tornado that was wiping out places like Kentucky, not wiping out certain places like in Tennessee or Arkansas or Mississippi. I mean, Illinois. These things are just happening. When you start thinking about the fires, the wildfires in California, when you start thinking about the tsunamis in Japan, when you start thinking about the volcanic expansion, look, all kinds of things are going crazy. And this is pain and suffering to people, ladies and gentlemen. This is pain and suffering to people. Now, the system that exists today says that you are not important enough to wipe out these problems or to jump in full force to eradicate these problems and headaches that we as people have. Now, they say, oh no, you're not that important. Well, the reason that they say you're not that important, because in order for you to be that important, it would infringe upon what they have sucked out of the human population, what they have taken from you to build up their heavenly kingdom on earth. Some of them are riding around, calling themselves talking about God, and they're talking about jets, and how God, you give them money, and God give them jets, and you pray, and you get nothing. But that's the kind of world we live in. We have to realize, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that is not good for we the people. And it is time we wake up. It is time we understand that something must be done. We here in this United States need to recover from this stuff. People in Japan, people in Puerto Rico, all of these storms that's been doing, we need to fix that stuff. And we cannot fix it under the system that's designed for us to operate wherever we are. Whatever part of the earth we're on right now, under the system that's designed, we cannot deal with these problems. They are choking the life out of us. In our efforts to get what has been lifted up as supreme, that which gives us power, which we call money, we think money gives us power. It gives certain people, well, people already got the power, a little more money just gives them more power. Some people, I don't care how much money you get, you're not going to be black. You're not going to get some power unless you change your way of thinking. You're going to think like a white man. I'm telling you the truth. Now, if you don't think like a white man, you slip up through there, they got something for you. And some of us do slip up through that. Ask Johnny Cochran. But anyway, what I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that each of us as individuals, and I want you to remember this, each of us as individuals have one authority over us. It's not the laws of the land. You give that. You give your allegiance to that. But it really has nothing over you except what you give it. Because truly there's only one authority over you. And that's your Creator. No other man, no other woman, no other system of governments, no other anything have authority over you but the power that made you. And for those of you who are young, there's one that got another that got authority over you, and that's your parent. Your parent got authority over you to teach you what authority is. And once you know what authority is and you recognize who your parents give authority to, then you know who to give authority to. And that's that power that you can't see like they can't see. And it's not some president, it's not some king, it's not some queen. Now, if these presidents, if these kings, if these queens are owned by the power and spirit of God themselves, then they are administering the will of God. And what is the will of God? That which you, the people, have been given to do. And what is it that you've been given to do? To live on this earth and have fun. And in having fun, those special things that have been designed by God that we might not have no idea or will be taking place of. We will all be engaged in God's plan, and God's plan leaves no one without food, clothing, shelter, education, or health care. Because we all got careers that gives us our greatest joy. That's God's power. We can't see God, but we let God live in us, and we feel God throughout our way. And we know it's God because we have heaven on earth, we have paradise on earth, we have utopia on earth, and every last one of us have our needs, our wants, and our desires met. And so we suffer for nothing. We don't have to lie, cheat, and steal. We're not pissed off with white folks or black folks or men or women or straight or gay. No, we're living. We're having fun because we recognize the truth and we woke up. Whew. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I've said something. I hope I've said something that the politicians who have been saying that the people are not important enough, who voted against, I'm talking about the Washington politicians, I'm talking about Congress now, who voted against when hurricanes and storms came through and devastated certain places, giving them aid. No, give them a little bit. And now themselves are begging for money. I'm talking about two people in particular. I'm just using them for examples now. I'm using two people from Kentucky, Mitch McConnell and Mr. Paul. I'm using them because yesterday I heard them making statements about this negativity when it came to helping others. And also was presenting information of them now asking for help for their constituency in Kentucky. Ain't nothing wrong with that. They want help. Now they realize, dog it, if you think you don't get some help, you got to loosen that belt and let the people feel the freedom. And that will just be a step in the right direction. Because it ain't about that. It's about freeing all of us. Look, before I die, before I leave this earth, I want us all to have a party. I want us all to just celebrate life where we can live. What about you? You think you can ride this boat with me? Give it some thought. If you don't know where I'm going, go back, check some of the videos. I mean, I try to give you my whole history. There are no secrets. I can guarantee if you go and dig, I have put the word out there. You don't have to worry about what somebody else said. I put the word out there. Nevertheless, you can consider what they say as well. Until next time, this is Eddie saying, there's no one that has power over you that you can see. Which means there are no superior people. There are no inferior people. We're only blessings to one another. Bye-bye.